Hi, my name's Kevin Aro. I am 24 years old. I've been a Christian probably since I was about 10, 11 years old. And I've been coming here to FB since I was in 4th grade. I started coming here, though, during VBS when I was probably about 6 or 7. My uncle Israel De Leon showed us this church, and we would go across the street for VBS and stuff like that. And Mr. Ken, too, was also my teacher. But when I first started officially coming here was in 4th grade. Before that, we kind of just went to the Catholic church over in San Juan and kind of just felt like showing up every other Sunday was the ideal thing, I guess. We would show up, walk in the Mass or whatever it was called, and listen to the father or the priest, or I don't know what they call him, but we would listen to him for 10 minutes, think that would be enough, leave, take a walk around, go for lunch, and it's like, okay, we did the Christian thing. And then when I was in 4th grade again, I got introduced here to church. It was just me and Kennedy at the time, of course, Mom and Dad. And Mr. Sailors was my first Sunday school teacher. And then from there, I kind of started, becoming a part of FB. And then when I was with the children's ministry is when I met Johnny Mora, who used to be the children's pastor here. He had a big influence on my life and my early stages of becoming a Christian at a young age. I got baptized, I think, at around the same age, 12, 13, 11 years old. Somewhere around there I got baptized. Johnny was the one who baptized me and my family. And at that time, I was still a kid, and I just felt like this was the right thing to do. I didn't have the full grasp on what it meant. I just knew that this was not only the right thing to do, but I felt like it was something I needed to do because I was a part of this church and a part of the people that come here. So all of that stuff kind of didn't hit me until when I was a senior in high school. I was hoping that I could play college baseball after high school. I had goals, I had dreams like every other kid. I grew up playing baseball. That's all I ever did. And unfortunately for me, my senior year wasn't as planned. I know that my coach made things very difficult for me. Not only with that, but at the time we had this thing called the tax test. I could not pass it. And for the record, I had never passed the math tax in my entire life since we started taking it like in 3rd grade. So I was 0 for like 8 on taking that dumb test. So my senior year comes along. First semester's fine. Second semester is where I start to hit the speed bumps. I didn't pass the math tax in the summer. I didn't pass it in the fall. Come the spring, my chances started becoming limited on taking the test. Then I had to really stop and think about what was important, and that was graduating, let alone trying to play baseball. While all this is going on, the one thing that I thought that I was good at was basically taken away from me. And I felt alone, really. And at the time, I would look to God for answers, and most of the time I would get rejection because I would fail, I wouldn't play, I would fail, I wouldn't play over and over again. And I remember David Rodriguez had told me one day he basically kind of got after me. He said to stop using God as a crutch, as in like, if you get hurt, just go to it, and then once you're done and healed, just go back to your normal self. He told me that I needed to look for him every day and in every practice and in every tutoring session that I had. So when I realized that is kind of when I started to get, the wheels came in motion. In other words, I studied a lot more. I kind of found myself, I kind of found my groove, and I kind of learned how to deal with not playing and kind of accepting that role, even though I didn't want to. And then finally, at my breaking point was second to the last chance. I didn't pass, and then again, I didn't start that same night. The same day I found out I didn't pass, the same night I didn't start. That's when I was kind of like, okay, this is it. Like, I only have one more chance to pass, to graduate. If I don't pass, I don't graduate. And then, of course, baseball just went down the drain because the coaches really weren't giving me a fair shot. So again, I really had to look for answers in God, and thankfully He answered them. I really put my faith in them, and I compared myself to when I was 17 to when I was 11, not knowing the gist of what all this meant. Seeing it then when I was a lot older, well, somewhat older, kind of growing up, getting out of high school. And on my last chance, I finally passed. And that same week, at the end of the week, was our last game of the season. So all those things were kind of bundled up in one. And I kind of I remember clearly the second or the third to the last game, a week before the final time I took the test. We were at PSJ Memorial, and it was a pointless game. We weren't in the playoffs, and I remember coach still not playing me, and I'm like, dude, like, we got nothing to lose. Like, I'll be out of here in 2 weeks, you know. And I remember him finally, my dad showed up, and he finally just let the coach have it. And he left because he couldn't, you know, he was just so upset. And I remember the coach finally putting me in, like, somewhere in the 5th inning. And then after the game, I was just kind of looking for somebody to hug. And of course, out of nowhere, there was my mom. So I kind of went to her, I hugged, and I cried with her. And I just told her that, you know, that I wanted to graduate, I wanted to pass, and I didn't want the season to be over, despite it being so bad. But through all that, I trusted in God, and I found myself there. And I graduated, and I didn't play college ball, but where I am today has a lot to do with that. And he was working in my life then, and he's still working in my life today. There's been some events that have been going on in my life this year and the past couple of years, and when I sit and I think about those events, on how they all played out, like, it's not by chance. It's not just because, you know, it happened that way. There's somebody in control. And I think what I'm getting at here in all of this, God is in control. He was in control when I was 11. He was in control when I was 17, a senior in high school. And he's still in control today with the things that I'm seeing and the things that I'm experiencing. So I think that's one thing that I've learned in my short 24 years, is that God's always in control, and to always have faith in him.